Hi guys, good evening. I think we should start now, considering that we are just on time or above time. Uh, I welcome all of you, my friend, to the session that I really wanted to have. Hi guys, good evening. Which is particularly to deal with the fact that we have to that we are just on time. We have to really talk on in terms of what is happening uh, in SBL exam. Many of you who have given the SBL exam off late, or probably have been giving this exam for like uh, some time, you might be needing some kind of help or support or understanding in terms of what is really going wrong. That is the reason, my friend, we opened this session to all of you. Even if you are not the FinTram student, we have opened this session to all of you to really have a heart-to-heart chat on in terms of what we feel may not be working for you, so that if there is a possibility, we can guide you in terms of, you know, uh, this is something that you can do different, there's something that you can do more, and so on and so forth. So the ideal way of having this meeting, and I have not prepared any deck for this meeting. I do have few slides, which I really want to call out because ACCA specifically says few things about the ACCA SBL exam. I do have that slide, and I'll come on to that in a while in terms of what we can really go through. But what is important is that we probably should come up more openly in terms of talking through as to what do you think has not been working well, or what do you think is your problem area. So I cannot guide you or mentor you or suggest you something unless and until I know that this is something that is not working your way. So the ideal way, or the ideal start would be to really understand from you in terms of what do you think is not working your way, and what do you think uh, is your problem area. So I'll be uh, happy to have a chat with you guys, my friend. And you can just, I've not stopped anyone from unmuting, so you can just unmute yourself. Let's talk through. If you are not comfortable talking, you can drop a note over here in the chat. I'll be happy to understand first, and then I can really guide you in terms of what is not going well. The whole agenda of this kind of a program is that I really want to understand from you your problem area as per you, so that I can tell you this is what you should be doing in that kind of a scenario. So over to you guys. Happy to chat, happy to really help you in whatever way possible. But for me to really do that, I really need you to speak up and, of course, tell me as to what you think is not working well for you. Anything that you want to mention. Mufdal, you were saying something uh, in relation to 20 marks, that you somewhat doesn't understand what that is. Speak more on that, Mufdal.
Yes, sir. Sir, in every question, after a question, they have written that 2 marks will be given for communication or analysis or evaluation. So I'm not getting that, and how to score upon these marks, because 2 marks, sir, will amount to 20 marks, and I think that 20 marks will make a lot of difference, sir, at the end, sir.
Agreed. So you're talking about the professional skills, what you really need to comply with in the strategic business leader exam. And if I've understood rightly, what you're mentioning is that you don't know what to do with this kind of a professional skill when you're dealing with the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else has this kind of a problem? I have noted one problem, which is how to handle the professional skills. But anybody else, any other problem, guys, anyone may have? Guys, make this most interactive session for yourself. The more I'll understand, the best I can really help you in terms of really come up with the flying colors. So help me out with that. So Rohan, you're saying that you're facing time management issue. So, okay, let's talk more on this. Are you saying to an extent that this time management issue is not helping you complete your exam, or you have completed the exam but you think you could have done better? What is that you're struggling with, Rohan? If you don't mind, Rohan, you can just unmute yourself and speak. I'm absolutely fine with that. Okay, so you are not able to complete your exam, and it is more to do with the fact that you uh, you were facing time crunch in the exam and you were not able to complete it. So time management is another piece that is there. Okay, I get that. Time management, how to handle professional skills. Okay, what more, guys? Anybody else who has given the exam in the last quarter, and they would want to share the experience in terms of what has not worked their way? Ishan says he's planning to give SBL exam this time, so would really need some advice. We'll talk on that, Ishan, in a while. I do have few things to talk on. But the ideal would be to understand what is the problem. See, I'm again repeating this. The essence of this session is to understand more from you as to what is that is troubling you. The more I'll understand that, then I can really help you that you should do this and that to help you come over those crises. So if you'll speak on that in terms of what that is, I've noted down the time management to be an issue. Got it. I've noted down professional skills to be an issue. Understood. What else? Anybody? Paul, Ria, Isha, anything that you would want to mention? Diljit, Ishan, Isha, anybody? Okay, so what we'll do is that we'll start off, and then we'll probably take a halt again, and then again ask in terms of do you really have any kind of a problem like that? So particularly talking, for the folks who are giving this exam for the first time, this is something to really note down, and of course have it at the back of your mind, that this exam is not a theory exam. Strategic business leader exam is a very commonsensical exam, which essentially will put you in a scenario wherein you would get into when you will join any organization. So this exam basically gives you a position which you really need to manage, or a role that you really need to play to help deliver or work on various aspects or issues that are there in that case. For example, they may give you a scenario wherein you are let's say a risk manager of an organization, and he'll make you play a role of a risk manager, and then he'll give you various scenarios that are happening in that company. There would be a risk issue, there would be a control issue, there would be a accounting issue, there would be an acquisition happening, and so on and so forth. So there are various things that are happening simultaneously, and you being a risk manager, or the role can be of a controller or a CFO or a board of director or a consultant. He can give you any number of any kind of role there. You have to now think through as to what one should be doing in that kind of a scenario. This is what the strategic business leader exam is all about. This is something wherein examiner wants to understand that when you get into that situation, when you get into that kind of a scenario, that kind of a problem, that kind of an issue, then how do you deal with that? What exactly you need to do over there? Do you understand that or not? And that is where I can tell you, many of the students, they struggle. And again, I'll while I'll come on to some of the topics, but this is one of the aspects that you really need to understand, that you're playing a role over there, and you would be answering the questions basis that role. So if you're a risk manager, how would a risk manager would respond into that kind of a scenario? If you're a controller, how would a controller will respond in that kind of a scenario? If you're a CFO, if you're a board of director, if you are a consultant, and so on and so forth, how would you answer that kind of a situation is something you really need to understand and appreciate and demonstrate. You really have to ensure that you're understanding the role, and then you are, whatsoever you're writing, whatsoever you're complimenting, whatsoever you're giving to the examiner, you are giving from that role perspective. That is the first thing which many of the students, they really miss. But because you know what, they just, one is, they just start talking on theory. For example, if there is an issue that is there, let's take an example. If there is an issue that is to deal with the assessment of an external environment. Now we know that, the PESTEL is the model that we really need to apply over there. Now, if that is the case, if a student would start writing what the PESTEL model is, that is not going to give you marks. But if you would say that given a controller role that is being given to me, what is relevant in this kind of a scenario from the PESTEL standpoint, how I would understand that, how would I assess it, and how would I really mention it as the part of the answer? If I know that, that is what examiner wants you to really demonstrate. And that's where you are effectively dealing with a real life scenario, real life issue, real life problem at your hand. And the more you would understand that, the more you would answer that in the right spirit, in terms of, that considering the role I'm being given, considering the problem that I have at my hand, this is what I would be doing in that kind of a scenario at that point in time. And this is what I would mention to the examiner. Examiner would be super happy, my friend, for that. And that's what you really need to do. While I'm not, as I said, my intention to this discussion was not to give you 10, 15 slides, but to talk on what I think is one of the biggest problem of this exam, is that people, many of the folks, they're not understanding this exam. They're taking this exam as a theory exam, wherein you understand the model, you understand the concept, and write it right over there. Nope, that's not how this exam gonna work. You will understand the model, you'll understand the concept, you'll understand the syllabus area, and then you would correlate that to the situation that is being given in the exam, or situation that you would have in hand over there, and then respond back considering the role that is being allotted to you. Now, while you do that, there are various other things that we take care of, which is the format, which is, examiners specifically ask you to prepare your answer in some specific format. Now, that can be an email, that can be a memo, that can be a letter, that can be a report, and so on and so forth. He can give you enough number of formats, and we have very well covered in our sessions in terms of what formats are there in the exam. So you, while giving that, you would take care of the formats on one side. On the other side, you will also take care of the professional skills. And that's what, Mufaddal, I think you were mentioning that how to manage the professional skill is something you're not clear on, and we'll talk on in a while in terms of how one should be really understanding and thinking about it from the examination standpoint. But the essence is, and I really wanted to start this as a foundation, that this exam is one of the most commonsensical exam. It doesn't really want you to, to mug up or cram up and do the rote learning. It effectively wants you to understand the concept, apply the concept into the exam situation, take the role of what is being given to you, answer that considering the format and the professional skill that is there in that question. If you do that, I'm pretty sure sky is the limit. sky is the limit, my friend, because if you're really taking care of all of those things, and when I'm sure if you've taken the FinTram classes, you will get to know that RAFT-P is something I really speak on, in terms of answering any and every question in the exam, because that effectively helps you in terms of answering the question given the right framework, which is like, you need to really have a RAFT-P for each and every question in the exam, and you have to have that at the back of your mind while you're writing the exam in the best possible way. And we'll quickly get into it in a while in terms of what that is. But there are various questions, my friend, on the RAFT-P we have practiced in the sessions, and of course after the sessions when we are doing the revision boot camp of the strategic business leader exam, we have really practiced over there. I would humbly request you to see all of those questions. I've solved concept questions, I've solved comprehensive questions, I've also solved various past exam questions for you, giving you various tips and tricks in terms of how one should be really dealing with, how one should be really resolving that in the best possible way. Do not forget that. Important is that you're revising that, and of course attempting those questions by your own hand so that you're not doing that mistake. Is that clear? Yes, sir. All right, moving on, my friend. I just want to spend some time in terms of what examiner always says as one of the areas where students really struggle with. So I really want to call out a few things so that you're not missing out on that. In case in case that has been your problem area, at least you will learn from it and you'll be able to add some colors to it in terms of handling that. Just want to give a call out, my friend. Are you able to see my screen, my friend, over here? Guys, can anyone please confirm by saying yes or no, or giving me thumbs up that you're able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So just to give you a perspective over here, one sec. I'm hoping you can see my screen now. So these are some, I would say, 10 common mistakes that are there in the strategic business leader exam, which examiner has been saying in various examiner reports. If you really open up any examiner report, my friend, you would get some pointers from these 10 points only, wherein you are not able to give the answer considering these 10 points in the exam. And that's what you really need to do. I'll towards the end, we'll open up the house to really talk on and discuss. But these are the 10 pointers that I really want to talk on that examiner really appreciate if you're able to demonstrate this in the exam. Number one is knowledge is irrelevant unless it is applied to the requirement. It is the super important thing, my friend. If you really have understood what I just said in the nutshell, that, what I said in the nutshell was that you really need to understand what is asked in the exam. And for answering that, you have to understand the concept that you have learned. You have to apply that to the situation, considering the role that is being given to you. And of course, not to forget the format that is needed, you're adhering to, and the professional skill that is needed to be shown and demonstrated over there. You are ensuring that. If you're able to capture all of these areas, I'm sure, this exam is just nothing, my friend. Then it becomes a hell lot easier for yourself. The first point, that is, knowledge is irrelevant unless it is applied to the requirement. It specifically says that concept learning is not going to help. You have to apply that to the requirement. And I do have one example to it. And, I just want to highlight this over here. Let's say one of the questions says, and I do want to talk on these examples because more will talk on it the more we'll understand that this is what it really means. Let's take an example, and like this is, something that which is very common in the exam. Let's say that, in one of the question, what a risk committee did scored no marks unless they showed that it was an advantage of specific risk committee, which was the question of the requirement of the question. Now, if I really have to give you a perspective, let's say there is a question which specifically says that what all are the benefit of having a specific risk committee. Now, if in this case you are answering, if let's say that risk committee has a benefit in an organization. Now, if risk committee has a benefit in an organization, you just go and just start writing that, what the benefit of the risk committee is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, he won't be giving you marks for this, while what you have written is absolutely fine because those are the benefits of the risk committee. But what he has asked you in the exam is that what are the benefit of having a separate risk committee, which is like separate from the audit committee. If you have a risk committee, how would that help an organization? Now, you effectively, while you're mentioning the benefits of the risk committee, you effectively have to mention, how having a separate risk committee is helping more on these areas. For example, since, you would have a separate risk committee, there would be division of responsibility, division of, somewhat the activities, what these committees would be doing. There would be a segregation of duties over there. Hence, there is no conflict of interest, or there is no overlap that would happen. Those are the things examiner is looking at. Now, you can only answer that in the best possible way if you have understood what was the exact requirement. You have applied those, the knowledge that you had in the exam onto that requirement and then have answered it. If you have not understood the exact requirement and you will just, write the cram up answer that you have in your mind, which is the benefit of the risk, of a risk committee, that is not going to give you the marks. You really have to understand what exactly he's asking, and then have the concept at the back of your mind, apply that to the question, and then answer that. Is that clear? Now, while this honestly, it looks very simple, but it comes to you naturally when you have practiced few of the exams yourself by your own hand. And that is what Ishan, while you were mentioning this, I do think that, one of the requirements that you may not have been able to complete your exam on time would be that because you have spent too much amount of time in terms of understanding the requirement and then correlating the requirement to the exhibits and so on and so forth, and not answering it to the fullest extent possible. But the more you'll understand the requirement, exact requirement, the more you understand that you have to apply that requirement to the question and then answer that. I think your life become easier in terms of finding the right answer for yourself, and hence may save your time too. We have practiced a lot of this, my friend, while doing the revision boot camp and the question marathon, wherein I have practiced various past exam questions applying the same technique. Do go and watch it out. I'm sure that would be very helpful to you. Is that clear? Mufaddal, anybody, Ishan, anybody has any questions? Paul, Rachna, anything that you would want to add on, or anything that you want to talk on? Shreya?
Sir, I have not taken ethics and professional module yet. That is important, sir.
That is not a mandatory thing. If you have not done that, it is absolutely fine. There is no requirement to it. It is always recommended that you should do it. But the way, our sessions are structured, you would automatically understand a lot of it any which ways. So there is no mandatory requirement for taking that.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Now, second point, I think we have already discussed to an extent, that keep the requirements in mind and understand the exact requirement. But one thing that you really need to show is, and Nishant, this really goes to you, because you may have wasted good amount of time in terms of correlating the requirement to the exhibit. But you know what? When you have read the requirements of the questions that were there, and then you start reading the exhibit, you have to have that requirement at the back of your mind. so that you are able to correlate that, yes, oh, this is the exhibit and this relates to this requirement. This is the requirement number 1A, sir. This is the requirement number 3B, sir. This is what I need to answer in 2A, sir. We know, sir, we are correlating the exhibit to the requirements. And that's what exactly we have done when we have practiced questions in revision boot camp. I'm sure for the folks who have already seen our sessions, and of course, the one who would be seeing it, they would understand that this is something we have really kept in our mind. Very important pieces, my friend, that you need to ensure that you're understanding the exact requirement, then you're keeping that requirement in your mind while reading the exhibit, so that you don't have to go back and forth, and at least that time that you're spending in terms of going on back and forth can be saved in the best possible way. Is that clear, Ishan? I just want to check it out from you, because do you think that that is one of the reason that you struggled in the exam in terms of completing it? Ishan says yes, sir. Ishan, I could correlate to that, because many of the students really struggle with it. So you're not new to it. You're not different. This is one of the problem. Many of the students, they really, spend good amount of time in terms of reading the question itself, and they're not able to come on to the exact answering piece of it, because, they have spent good amount of time. So the more you will understand that, and more you will be able to, somewhat give an understanding to that, to the students, to the examiner, the best fit you are in terms of taking that to the level that you want. Is that clear, guys? Yes, sir. All right. So moving on, guys, we have a few other things to really cover. I'll come on to that in a while. Coming on to the point number 3, my friend, over here. Now, point number 3, which is again one of the common mistake that examiner says most of us are doing in the exam, is that model may not be the best structure for an answer. I think we spoke on that. You should not be talking on a model per se in the exam. As I said, let's say you have to apply the pestle to an exam question. Now, you should not be talking on pestle in terms of the entire pestle being given as a theory over there. That's not going to be helping you. Important is that you are applying that pestle model to the exam requirement and then answering that. What is important and what is different over here is that you are not showing the examiner that you know the model and you have crammed it and you're writing it. Instead, you being the strategic business leader should know that, it is there at the back of your mind. And anytime and every time you see a situation, you apply a relevant model to it and then answer that in terms of, in the light of that model, what one should be doing in that kind of a scenario. And that is what that is needed in the exam. The more you will practice it, my friend, the more you'll understand that writing just a model in the exam is not going to be helpful. Is that clear, guys? Is that the problem? I don't know if anybody can really share over here, but do you really felt that this was the problem that you had in the exam? Because many of the students, and I keep interacting with many of the students, on daily basis, many of them, they really say that at times, they are not able to understand which model to be applied to a particular case. And even if they knew, they're not able to understand, how to write. Is that something that you guys faced? I'll be happy to really chat on if there is anything that is something that you have felt. Shreya, Smruti, Rachna, anybody? Okay, so Diljit is saying yes, sir. So Diljit, speak more on that. So what you're saying is that in the exam, somewhere you struggled in terms of understanding that what is the right model to be applied. Rachna also says yes. So Rachna, in that case, one thing that you really need to ensure is that you have to revise your models rightfully. Many of the times, if you're not able to correlate that, this model needs to be applied where, there is a need for you to understand the model first. And I'm sure, the more you'll revise it, the more you'll understand that. And of course, more you'll practice the questions, the more you are there. Many of the times we have just done the model and we have not really thought about a practical application of it. And that is where the struggle really happens. You have to understand that model in detail and start seeing the practical element to it by practicing few questions. The more you do that, the best fit you would be in terms of understanding which model to be applied where. If you have taken the FinTram sessions or you are planning for, in our sessions, we have ensured that, we are giving you those tips and tricks in terms of, which model can be applied where and which model fits in which kind of a situation. So that would also be helpful for you to really understand that, yes, considering this, we have to be using this kind of a model and apply it over there. So, if you're thinking about, watching those sessions, then, I'm sure, these things will be taken care. But one thing that you really need to ensure is that you have to practice questions by your own hand. And I have been saying this like a broken record. You have to practice questions by your own hand. The more you'll practice, the best fit you are. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Now coming on to 5 number point, which is like avoid long paragraphs. Quite an easy one. Many times, we guys are used to writing, right? We guys are now, grown up in our profile and of course in our career. We at times feel that, writing, all the details in one long paragraph would help. I keep saying that in the class and of course to the students around the world, that in the SBL exam, write small paragraphs, make one pointer, one paragraph, and make second point, one paragraph, rather than, having one long paragraph and making the examiner annoying in terms of, that what all you have written is too much and so on and so forth. Make it very crisp and clear, my friend. This is the strategic business leader exam, my friend. You really have to ensure that you're writing as a strategic business leader. Strategic business leader will give the crisp and the clear points one by one. He would not give the entire content in one go and having no structure to it. That's not going to happen. Generic professional skills are duly taken care in the exam. You have to demonstrate those general professional skills. Important is that you're writing the things into small paragraphs. You don't have to write all the paragraphs in a long one in one go. And we're writing that, head the paragraphs clearly. That's the 6th point, that, just, to start heading them, because it's important and it helps in terms of exam, understanding that you don't have to use the bullets in the exam. Bullets are not something that are appreciated. So one should not be doing that. Guys, anyone has faced this kind of a problem? So I just got a message from the team saying that there are a few queries that are coming on YouTube. I'm just opening that. What is your proposed strategy to pass ACCA SBL exam in the very first attempt? I think I've already spoken, my friend. The proposed strategy is that you should be thinking a question in a way that you're understanding the question. You're really understanding what is needed. You're taking the role that is being given to you. You're understanding that role, and then you're really understanding the audience who you're responding to, and then answering that, considering the format and considering the professional skills that you have in hand. The proposed strategy in terms of achieving the pass result in the first attempt is that you should be very thorough with your syllabus areas. You have really done good amount of questions by your own hand. The more you'll practice that, the more you'll be there. And I'm sure, the last one would be that once you've practiced your mock exam, do take your feedback on those mock exams and ensure that those areas that are being told to you is really taken care of. When we give mock exam, we provide detailed performance review to our students, and I'm sure, students can watch out in terms of, what we are providing. Important is that you're not missing on those areas of improvement as much as possible. How many attempts are allowed for SBL ACCA exam? There is no limit to it. But Akriti, why are you thinking about it? Just go and bang it out. I'm sure, if you're really preparing well and you're really on your front foot in terms of managing it, there is no problem, my friend. You'll clear that in first attempt only. If there is anything that we can help you out with, feel free, we'll be more than happy to support you in whatsoever way possible. So Connor says, sir, what is exactly in technical articles? Is it required to go through technical articles? Absolutely, yes, Connor. Technical articles are the areas where examiner wants you to really give a stress on. Many of the times, examiner, he gets onto the situation wherein, he wants you to look on to some specific area. Now that can be an area which has recently been added, or a new subject matter has been pushed out, in the industry. The examiner really wants you to understand that, and that is the reason they come up with the technical articles. But guess what, my friend, for those who are, with FinTram, do not worry. We have done all the technical articles and have included that in our sessions. So there is nothing, would not be going anywhere. All the technical articles are very well covered. You don't have to run from pole to pillar. Everything is done and dusted. But Connor, if you are thinking about doing it yourself, then do cover all the technical articles. Very important. In fact, in the recent exam, I specifically stressed on a technical article which was of responsible responsible management, or it is the recent technical article that got added on. And I can tell you there was approximately 28 marks of questions that were directly or indirectly related to this technical articles. So very important, my friend. Do not miss on technical articles. And if you need any support, any help on that, FinTram is always there to help you out with any which ways. All right, coming to the 7th point, my friend, say why as well as what. Now, many of the times, my friend, we guys tend to explain the what piece of it rather than the why piece of it. Examiner specifically says in many of the examiner report that when you're writing something in the exam, do think that how do you think that is related to the question that is being asked. Do not forget that examiner wants you to understand, examiner wants you to answer the question as to what is needed. If you're not giving him what is needed, he's not going to give you the marks. And that is where you really have to ensure that you're understanding the entire requirement and answering not only the what piece of it, which is like what is needed, but why do you think that answer is something that is to be kept in your mind. I can tell you with an example that many of the times, what we do is, let's say we are going to apply, I'm taking an example, let's say we are going to apply a Porter's diamond to a particular requirement. Now we know that Porter's diamond is something to be applied over there, and we are writing the Porter diamond, but we have to have an understanding at the back of your mind that why do we feel that Porter's diamond is working in the scenario that we're really talking on. So you have to ensure that, if you have the right answer of this why, that why do you think this Porter's diamond would be relevant for this, your answer would be very crisp and clear and very targeted. So do not miss on that. You have to understand the why and say it as much as possible to ensure that, examiner also understand that, this guy is a FinTrammer. He really understands the requirement. He understands the what and the why of it. And that is the reason he is bound to be the strategic business leader. And we're proud, my friend. We are very proud to say that, we have got outstanding result in strategic business leader again. And we are very proud to say this, that, we are able to demonstrate this on month, year on year, quarter on quarter basis, this kind of a result, because, our students are really doing well in this. And part of that relates to what we really want them to take as a strategy for themselves, which is what we are seeing over here as these 10 pointers. We're not trying to tell them anything different, my friend. These are the areas wherein we work with them. These are the areas we work with them on day in and day out basis. This is what we have done in our revision boot camp also. And I'm sure, when you'll see the sessions of revision boot camp, you'll understand yourself. We have taken care of all of these areas into there. All right. Now, what is different is what's important. That's point number 8. Important is that you really need to know what is different in that kind of a question. So if it is a question of a, let's say, not-for-profit organization, you need to understand that it is a not-for-profit organization. Hence, there would be few things that will be different in that, because in that kind of a question, profit will not be important. What is important is the controls. What is important is that what you're getting as a donation is being spent rightfully. Now, you have to understand all of those nuances when you're dealing with the case in the exam or a scenario in the exam. And I'm sure with the practice, you will get a hang of it. But what is important is that you should know that kind of case that you're dealing with, would have some kind of difference. For example, if I'm dealing with the shipping industry, there would be some nuances that would be relevant to the shipping industry. If I'm dealing with an IT industry, there will be some nuances that will be relevant to the IT industry. I should know what is different over here. And now that I know that this is what is different, I should be able to stress on in the exam. And of course, write my answer considering that differences. Let's take an example. I think example is the right way to really help you out with. Let's take an example wherein, let's say I want you to, let's say we're taking an example of a FMCG, industry, and there is a concern that has come up from the side of technology, and you are given a position wherein you have to answer that, what do you think would work or work rightfully for an organization on the technology piece as far as the FMCG goods are concerned. Now, it is not an IT environment. From the technological aspect, FMCG, when I say FMCG, I'm taking the example of, let's say, soaps and the detergents and so on and so forth. I'm just taking this as an example for now. From the technology standpoint, this may not get that much impacted. So from the technological standpoint, when you're thinking about this industry, you will think about, having modernization in the machineries, which will help you in terms of getting the best input, best output, less wastage, and so on and so forth. So you're correlating a technology question to an industry, thinking what is relevant over here, and then you're answering it. Now, if I just take the same example and technological issue in an IT industry, let's say I'm talking for Infosys, the Apples of the world, the importance of technology in terms of how much investment they should be doing in this and that. The first and foremost thing for them would be that they would be out of the business if they're not deploying on technology. Unilever may not be out of the business if they're not deploying that much amount on technology, because they would still be in the business. They may not be that much profitable for whatsoever reason, but they would not be thrown out of the business. But IT company, the Apples of the world, the Samsungs of the world, they will be thrown out of the industry if they're not investing heavily on the technology. Now, that's what the difference is. You really have to understand that, which industry you're dealing with, what would impact them most, and considering that, what you should be doing is something that you'd understand at the back of your mind and start writing that and mention that to be a different. If I were you and I have been given a question of IT industry, I might say that, this is the industry wherein, the IT is the bread and butter. The technology is the bread and butter. You cannot live with not having a modernized technology. You cannot live with, you cannot grow with, and this is what examiner really needs. Because now you'll understand that you have understood the industry, you have understood what is relevant, and then you're commenting on that in the best possible way. And that's what is needed. Is that clear, guys? Understanding the difference and answering that, considering the scenario you're in, is very important. Coming on to the 9th point, be the financial manager or the I would say the finance minister for the figures. So while the strategic business leader exam, he doesn't really want you to do many of the calculations, but whatsoever calculations that are being given to you, ensure that you're understanding not only those figures, but what is really going back behind those figures. The more you'll understand that, best you're able to demonstrate your financial acumen over there and answer that there and then. We have practiced a lot on this, my friend, in our revision boot camp, where we have taken various financial figures and really gone behind and understand why it has moved the way it has moved, to ensure that we are able to understand the rightful analytical review, and we are able to demonstrate that to the examiner in the best possible way. Go and watch it out. I'm sure that would be very helpful. All right, now coming on to the last one, which is skills not being rewarded can be valuable. I think what is more important over here is that we have to ensure that we are generically very professional in the exam. We are not forgetting that we have to show professionalism in this exam and in each and every respect. So whenever you're dealing with this exam, we should not be using any wrong word, any tough language. You should not be using something which is derogatory. You have to show the utmost professionalism in terms of writing this exam, while it is not being rated. But if you're not following that, that will give you a dent. So that's what the last point is, that what is not being rated doesn't mean that you'll not be following it. You have to show the utmost professionalism in this exam. important pieces, my friend. Towards the end, I would say you have to ensure that you're writing this exam, understanding the role that is being given to you, understanding the industry you are in, understanding what would work in this industry. And then you should write, considering who you're really dealing with as an audience, ensuring that you're duly taking care of the professional skills on one side and on the formats on the other side. And that's what RAFP is all about. I do recommend go and watch out the sessions of Revision Bootcamp, and of course our syllabus area sessions. You would get to understand in terms of how we have handled questions, not only the concept and the comprehensive ones, but also the past exam questions. Is that clear? Yes, sir. All right. Archana says, which is the best study material if you're doing the self-study for ACCA SBL? You can refer any book, Archana. You can take the BPP or Kaplan. Both of them are equally good. I don't rate them. From the FinTram standpoint, we provide our own study material, and I categorically say this, and very, very strongly, that if we do not want you to see any material else in the FinTram material. We have covered everything over here, so you don't have to go anywhere looking for any other material. Our material takes care of all the BPPs and the Kaplans and the ACCA content whatsoever is available for you to really clear the exam in the best possible way. Karam says, sir, live classes hoti hain ya recorded for preparation? Sir, live mein recording nahi milti isliye. Okay, so let me just tell you, for us, we have a blended mode of classes. Some of the classes would be live like this. We'll be talking, we'll be chatting, and this and that. And some of the classes will be recorded. That will be available to you. The entire content is available to you at the click of your button. You can see it anytime. And there are various occasions wherein we will, of course, meet and chat and then work on and of course talk on, like we're doing right now at this point in time, to really take care of the concerns and the queries and the questions that you may have. So both of that is duly taken care. So don't get really be worried about it. Everything is certainly that we ensure that we've taken care. Coming on to Mufaddal, the question that you had, which is on the professional skills, I would highly recommend you to, if you really want to go through each and every professional skills and see through how to really apply to various questions in the exam, I would humbly request you to go and start seeing the professional skill videos and the classes that are available to you. We have given all the content in it, and of course, when you're practicing the question with me in the revision boot camp, you can see in terms of how I'm applying that. There will be various sessions, live sessions like this coming your way down the line. If there are any concerns there, let's talk and let's speak on that too, to ensure that you have, an answer for anything that you need.
Okay, sir. I have taken a revision boot camp. So, sir, seeing all these videos, that would be enough, sir.
Speak again, Mufaddal.
Sir, I have taken the services of revision boot camp, sir. So, sir, as you have told that going through the revision boot camp, then I would get enough knowledge about the professional skills, and you have discussed the technical articles and everything over there, sir. So that would help a
Yes.
lot, sir.
Yes. Answer is yes. But I would recommend that, in case you have not done the syllabus area, then go through the syllabus area sessions also. But if you have gone through that, then revision bootcamp would be enough.
Sir, I have gone through the syllabus area, so I
Then
don't.
revision bootcamp is enough.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Ankit says, I have one question about how much time should I invest revisions? So Ankit, if I've understood rightly, what you're saying is that you have completed the content and now you want to revise the content. How much time you need? I think you would need at least 12 hours to revise the entire content. It cannot be lesser than that. In fact, I issue quarterly revision videos also. You can have a look on that. Those are also like almost 10-hour kind of videos. So you can certainly circle that down. Sir, मैं question देख के nervous हो जाता हूँ. Diljit, there is no way out, my friend, to get this get this come over, else than practicing the questions. Practice questions, my friend, as much as possible. The more you'll practice, that is what you would find as a change in yourself, because you'll get less nervous, and then no nervousness will be there the more you'll practice that. But in case you're not practicing the question, then you will keep struggling, my friend. Practice the questions, very important. Mohammed says, hello, sir. I'm writing F7 paper. Can anyone help me how to start my study? How many days required to complete F7? Mohammed, Tabshir, I'm afraid this is not an F7 session. I do take F7, but this is not the session to really talk on. So let's talk on SBL in this. From the financial reporting standpoint, we can take this, in some other session wherein we'll be talking on financial reporting. All right, guys, I think that's what I wanted to cover. Anything that is there for you to really talk on, or anything wherein you need any help, I'll be happy to chat on. Anything I can help you out with, guys, before I really wrap up? We're just on time, and I really want to give you back your time. All right, guys, I think thank you very much for your time. We really wanted to chat on, and of course, understand more from you if there is anything we can help you out with. If in case you need any help and support, you can reach out to fintram.com. FinTram is fully dedicated to really support you in the best possible way as far as your exam clearing is concerned, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. If there is anything that we can do to support you, we'll be there. Thank you very much, guys. Wish you a very good evening, and we look forward, and I'm sure you would come up with the flying colors. And of course, my coffee will be due, my friend, as it is due from various students across the world. Thank you very much. Look forward. All the best.